If we're going to find out about the 7 this year, it's going to take some major minute cuts from some veterans. How does it possibly work out? Next on Locked on Jazz. Bum 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 bum.
You are Locked on Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network. Your team every day.
How are you? I am David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA insider. This is Locked on Jazz today. We look at the 96 minutes of our guards and how do we get them to work out, the 96 minutes of our forwards and how do we get them to work out, and our 48 minutes of center minutes. And how, through that, do we find out who Keyonte George, Taylor Hendricks, Bryce Sensabaugh, Isaiah Collier, Kyle Filipowski, Cody Williams, and Walker Kessler are by the end of the season. It's not going to be easy, and it's going to be tough for Will Hardy and some conversations that'll be a little tough to swallow. Plus, the minute gap is in the wrong spot. We'll talk about all that coming up on the show. As I mentioned, I'm David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA insider, and this is Locked on Jazz. It's your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz, giving you insight, expertise, geeky numbers, and hopefully making it way better to be a Jazz fan each and every day. Thank you so much for making Locked on Jazz your first listen of the day. We are free and available on all podcasting apps. And to the everydayers, you're the best. I can't thank you enough for being an everydayer on this program. All right, let's get right to it. There are 96 minutes of guard minutes, and there's 96 minutes of forward minutes, and there's 48 minutes of center minutes. And that's how I think we break this out on today's show. I think that's the best way for us to look at this. By the way, today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Game Time app. What time is it? It's game time. Hey, quickly, Utah fans, like Utah state of, or beyond. I mean, if whatever, you know what I mean. If you're not in Utah, but you're there was a really, really good Big 12 college preview. Drake Toll of Locked on Big 12 hosted. He's awesome. Number 2, there is we're launching something called the Squads. No one knows about this yet. You do, because you get these things early. Every Tuesday night, they did it last night, I think, and then it'll launch on Thursday or Friday. Is all the Big 12 hosts are going to come together in one place and just have a frolicking party. So that'll be super fun. So look an eye out for that on your Locked on Big 12. It should be on your Locked on Cougars or your Locked on Utes feed. Also, NFL fans, the NFL previews are dropping today. And then big exciting news about Locked on NFL. I've been working hard. So, all right, let's get to it. We've got 48 minutes of guard minutes. Let's start there. So, and I probably should put little graphics up for those of you on YouTube to make it easier for you. So last year, if you kind of just take last year's guard minutes, the Keyonte George is at 32, Colin Sexton's at 27, and Jordan Clarkson's at 30. So last year's guard minutes total 89 of the 96 available minutes. Now, is Jordan Clarkson playing 30 minutes a night again? Is Colin Sexton playing 27 minutes a night again? Maybe. So here's what it gets down to. I think we can pencil Keyonte into 32, and we can pencil Sexton in to about 27. I actually think if he's young enough, he's good enough, that I'm not sure that you're asking Colin Sexton to take a big time pay cut. The question is that gets interesting, or minutes cut. That's how they view minute cuts, by the way. They view it as pay cuts. That was a misspeak that was accurate. Keontae's got to play 30. Like, if you start our minutes game, you can just start it right away. Keontae's playing 32, Lowry's playing 33. And I think on Sexton, you can probably put in 27. The one thing I would say, and Will did some crazy stuff with this last year where he just played guys the whole route and they never rested. The one thing I've never been a huge fan of is having like one of your better players be the sixth man, is because of the fact that you automatically are taking away probably 12 minutes of potential playing time a night. The first 6 minutes of the first and the 6 minutes of the third. And so even if they play every minute they possibly could, it's about 36 minutes of playing time. And that's why I think Sexton's at 27. He was at 27 last year. I still just have a feeling that Colin is the sixth man this year. Now, this gets, as long as Jordan's on the roster, I kind of think he's going to start. Maybe not. Maybe Colin starts. It is a very complicated decision for Will Hardy because, frankly, Colin Sexton and Jordan Clarkson are not totally different players. They're just really differently aged and on really different timelines to where they are heading and what they mean to the franchise. Jordan's just older. Probably we're not going to be super good in Jordan. Well, in this contract for Jordan, Colin could be here for a while and a major part of what we're doing. The other one I would kind of say is that as of right now, it doesn't seem, after coming off this tough year last year, that Jordan has trade value. Colin might. I don't know that that's in the cards. I think it's got a good contract, and Danny Ainge has traditionally liked those players. So here's the issue. These two guys are at 89 of the 96 minutes. This only leaves 7 minutes for our other guards. Now, those other guards are Patty Mills, probably 0 is fine. But they're Isaiah Collier and Bryce Sensabaugh. And Sensabaugh's really a 2. Frankly, he's probably a 3, but he's got a body of a 2. Doesn't really matter as much as it used to in the league, so that's fine. So if Collier's ready to go at 15 minutes a night, so let's say you're deciding that Keyonte's playing 33 and Collier's playing 15, and those are your two guards. Well, now all of a sudden, if Colin Sexton's at 23, is Jordan Clarkson really at 19? No. He's not. Or 21 would have been the math there. Sorry. Numbers are hard. Is Clarkson at 21 minutes a night? That gets tough. And that's getting to see the 7. And the 7 I speak of are Keyonte George, Bryce Sensabaugh, Taylor Hendricks, Isaiah Collier, Kyle Filipowski, Cody Williams, and Walker Kessler. That's, to me, the most important thing this year is that we have some understanding of who those 7 are. For Jordan Clarkson, I don't know that. I mean, if Jordan Clarkson plays like he did last year, he can't gripe. That was a tough year. That effective field goal percentage dropping from 52 to 47% is a real drop. I think it was circumstantial. It doesn't seem as though he's fallen off the cliff. And, at no point in Jordan's career has he ever played fewer than 24 minutes a night. So I don't think Jordan is ready to suddenly be playing fewer minutes than he's ever played in his entire career. So if Jordan goes to 25 or 26 and Colin's at 27, then maybe there's 13 minutes here that are available. But they're funky. Some of them are we're playing Colin Sexton and Jordan Clarkson together as our guards to get that done. And that would give you a chance to find, you're not going to find out about Isaiah Collier and Bryce Sensabaugh at the same time, unless we have an injury. And we will at some point. And when we have an injury, then you probably slide Isaiah or Bryce Sensabaugh. That's going to be an interesting training camp battle. Indirectly. Isaiah Collier playing the 1 better than Bryce Sensabaugh playing the 2. Collier really is a 1, I think. And, it doesn't have a great shot yet. So I think he's got to play with the ball in his hands. So that first 96 minutes gets super interesting. And is an opportunity for one guy, but it does mean a veteran hit, likely to Jordan Clarkson. The next problem is on our next 96 minutes, there's a big, huge gap, and it's not in a place where we can fill it. We'll talk about it as we continue here on today's edition of Locked on Jazz. It's your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Today's edition of Locked on Jazz is brought to you by Murdoch Hyundai, located at 4646 South State Street, also located in Logan and in Linden. The Murdochs have been in Utah for 80 plus, 85, 86, 7 years. They've been our sponsor forever. I was talking about that last night with a buddy. He's like, man, I've listened to your show forever. And Murdoch's been with you. Yeah, it's been great. And it goes back the very first time we all got together and I met the Murdoch family, all of them, the patriarchs to the top to the bottom, and met all of them. in a round table, got to know them a little bit. And little did I know that I'd become good friends with Blake and play a little golf with Ben along the way and get to know Tyson and just be super excited to know the family because of what a high quality people they are. And the Hyundai product is just absolutely fabulous. I can speak to it. We've bought 2 Santa Fe's and an Ioniq in the time period in which I've been sponsoring Murdoch. It's been a good deal for them. It's a good deal for you as well. So please send me an email at dlock09@gmail.com. That's dlock09@gmail.com. And let me get you set up with a VIP meeting, either in Linden or in Logan or in Murray, so that we can get you that VIP meeting. We'll get you, you walk up, you know exactly who you're talking to. You don't have to worry about it in that car dealership stuff. It'll be a fabulous experience, and you can decide whether Hyundai is right for you. It's all over at Murdoch Hyundai. Today's show is also brought to you by our good friends over at Game Time. Download the Game Time app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA for over $20 on your first purchase. Terms apply. I have a feeling Game Time and hockey tickets this year are going to be a big deal. Or Game Time and good deals on tickets is a good deal. I use Game Time a lot. I think I told the story yesterday about being at the Avalanche game, trying to figure out I can get it done. By the way, they have some Labor Day sales coming on. There's a Diamondbacks-Dodgers game, and they actually have a 50% off deal going on that deal. So keep an eye on the Game Time app for some of the special deals for Labor Day weekend. Live events, browse the seats, get your Game Time picks. Game Time will start to suggest things for you as well. But here's the best deal. Curated deals make it easier to get the best prices on great seats, seat views before you buy, lowest price guarantee, events cancellation, protection, all of the features you want, and plus toggle the all-in pricing, and you get everything you need. That's why Game Time is the number one app for Locked On. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. That's $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account and redeem Locked On NBA for $20 off your first purchase. Thanks so much for making Locked On Jazz your first listen of the day. I gave you a little rundown. It's a lot of fun college football stuff for you. So Locked On NBA, by the way, still going on 30 minutes every single day. But if you're a Big 12 football fan now, BYU, Utah, there's a Big 12 preview on the Big 12 feed. And then there's also special shows coming up this week. So keep an eye out for that. Should be on your Utah and your BYU feed as well. And then football fans, the NFL previews coming out. Check out Locked On NFL on that. There's a new Locked On NFL coming too. Wow, there's just so much stuff. All right. This gets really interesting. So we just did the guards, and we have a quagmire, and there's no way to see both Collier and Sensabaugh, and Mills is probably not playing. So you slide Cody Williams down to a 3. That's who I thought he was. And really, if you go with what I watched Cody Williams in Colorado, I didn't think he had a handle well enough to play the 2. But the fact is, he handled pretty darn well at Summer League. If there was one thing that kind of jumped out to me at Summer League from Cody Williams was how well he brought the ball up the floor, how well he handled, how well he did some of the other stuff. That was unexpected for me. So I think if we had a roster that allowed us to slide Cody Williams to the 2, he probably could do it some. And there may be a day this year where we do see a lineup that is Keyonte George, Cody Williams, Lauri Markkanen, Taylor Hendricks, and Walker Kessler. Like that could be a lineup at some point during the season we see. Some things would have to shift. But there is a quagmire of minutes at that guard spot. We just showed you that to get Collier or Sensabaugh 15 minutes, and you probably need to get them 10 or 12 at least, 5 or 6 minute stints to be able to get a read on what they can do and get them to feel the game and understand it. These guys, remember, all these guys have played 30, 35 in there. Now they have to learn how to play 5 or 6. I thought that was something Bryce really struggled with last year, was kind of understanding the 5 or 6 minute stint. So if we look at our forwards, we have Lauri Markkanen 33 minutes. And that's it. There's like just this massive gap of minutes. So Taylor Hendricks is going to take a bunch of them. So let's assume that Taylor Hendricks is going to play 28 minutes a night. Okay, we still have a massive gap. That's 61 minutes of time to play out of the 96 that are available. We still have 35 minutes available. So some of this could go away if we start to play Keyonte, Colin, and Jordan all together and slide Lauri or Hendricks down the 4. This could get solved in that manner. Now, that might not be so ideal. Or if we think Sensabaugh can play some 3, we can slide that down. The one thing is you can't start playing 11 players. 10 is usually one too many. Coaches do it for chemistry reasons and to hold rosters together. But generally 9 is the right amount of guys to play on a given night, and everybody playing 10 or 15 minutes a night so they have a rhythm. The minute you go to 10, you've got 5 or 6 minute guys, and that maybe 9. And those are hard. You start asking guys to play 3-minute stints, and they're involved but not involved, and they're just as frustrated as not playing. So you really usually want to play 9. And so the 9, to start very likely could be Keyonte, Colin, Jordan, Collier, Markkanen, Hendricks, Cody Williams, Walker Kessler, John Collins. Okay. But you could work the 10th in either in Mihailuk or Sensabaugh because of the open minutes at small forward. It's the gap. The gap is there. It's just frankly in the wrong spot. I think you hope it's going to be early for him, but because of the gap, I really think Cody Williams is just walking into no free minutes, but walking into 20 minutes a night, probably 2 6-minute stints at 5 minutes, 6-minute stints a half. Which is, maybe like kind of, and it's hard to do off the bench to play multiple stints. Or maybe he just plays 10 straight minutes in each half. Because if Markkanen's playing 33 and Hendricks is playing 28, as I said, that's 61 of the 96 minutes. There's 35 minutes to go there. So Cody Williams plays 20, which would be great. Like, that's a lot for a rookie. There's still 15 minutes available in that slot. And this is where things get a little wildly complicated. So the natural one to do is to slide down. And that's where, okay, Jordan Clarkson takes 7 of those. Sexton or Clarkson acts as our backup point guard. Sensabaugh slides down. We get his minutes. Collier gets some minutes with Keyonte. We slide those guys down and we solve the gap. I think one of the bigger stories in training camp and in the preseason, and it's going to be hard to tell because no one's playing as many minutes, how you're filling that gap. Now, Mihailuk as a veteran could certainly play 15 minutes a night. There's no question. He's can shoot it and space the floor, and he knows how to play. And it might be that if no one else is ready, that Mihailuk plays 15. And that's exactly what yesterday's show was for those who got it. The value of Patty Mills, the value of Mihailuk, and the value of Eubanks is that they can do exactly that. Ideally, certainly, you'd probably rather have Isaiah Collier or Bryce Sensabaugh be better playing and then force their way in the lineup. Might not happen. What's interesting when you start talking about minutes battles, you often think of a training camp as having minutes battles where like 2 point guards are battling for backup point guard minutes. This one's just going to be who plays better, because Cody Williams is battling for minutes. And if he plays well, they're we just talked about, they're there 20, 25 minutes a night. They're there. Collier and Sensabaugh are battling for minutes, but if Collier plays really, really well, he gets the backup point guard minutes. He probably plays 15 minutes a night as backup point guard. And then Clarkson or Sexton has to slide down to play some minutes at the 3 to fill that gap. Right? If Sensabaugh plays really well and beats out Collier and is the one who gets the 10th minutes, well, then Sexton or Clarkson probably has to pop up to play some point guard minutes in the 16 minutes of Keyonte's not on the floor. And then Sensabaugh slides into the 2-3 zone. If Mihailuk outplays both Collier and Sensabaugh by so much, then he just slides into these 15 minutes at the small forward. But to me, that's going to be the real training camp battle. It's kind of this Cody Williams, hey, there's an open spot for you. You can go grab it if you play well. This Isaiah Collier, Bryce Sensabaugh, Svi, Mihailuk, like, they're there. They're not anywhere all near the same position, but we have to adjust. Now, what makes this all super complicated and gets back to where we started, which is the veterans having to take a cut, which is going to be hard for Will to navigate, and the gap being in the wrong spot is what happens when we start talking about center. And we'll do that next on Locked On Jazz. Today's edition of Locked On Jazz is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is the official sportsbook of Locked On, and FanDuel is also the number one sportsbook in America. Pretty good combination. And right now, FanDuel has a really interesting deal for you. Make your football season better. Here's the deal. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial on the NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then, with a YouTube base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game, and all you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. So visit FanDuel.com/LockedOnNBA. That's FanDuel.com/LockedOn. Just FanDuel.com/LockedOn, and download America's number one sports book, FanDuel.com/LockedOn. By the way, at FanDuel right now, my Giants, 5.5 out of the wild card, trying to make a last run. Got a good win yesterday. They are the underdogs with Harrison on the mound against the Brewers. WNBA tonight. The Indiana Fever are a 3.5-point dog against the Connecticut Sun. U.S. Open is underway, doubles and everything else going on right now. And the men's champion, Alvarez and Djokovic, are both plus 210 to win it. The women's Open looks as though Coco Graf comes in at plus 1,000. Jessica Pegula comes in at plus 1,400. Naomi Osaka at plus 1,600. That's all at FanDuel. Thanks so much for making Locked On Jazz your first listen of the day. If you want Jazz, we're it. When you click on the Locked On Jazz, you know you're getting Locked On Jazz each and every time. So make sure you make it part of your daily routine to be a part of Locked On Jazz. Thank you very much. All right, so we just talked about the two factors here. One is the veterans have to take a cut. Clarkson, a little bit there. Two, that the minute gap is in the wrong spot. And this gets complicated again for Will Hardy. So in the first 2 years of his career, Walker Kessler's played 23 minutes a night. I'd like to believe Walker Kessler's going to play 28 minutes a night this year and make progress. Now, if Walker busts and isn't better and isn't improved, then this conversation, then it's a question whether Drew Eubanks and John Collins can play together. But it's clear, unfortunately, unless we're going to try it again, that last year, the minutes with John Collins and Walker Kessler on the floor together at the same time were not productive. That was not an easy lineup for anyone to play together. It didn't work offensively. It didn't work defensively. I think it was minus 20. I mean, I think I'm exaggerating, but it was a lot. I probably should give you the exact number on that because someone's going to walk around and use that. So let me actually just see if I can pull it up for you in a second here. But when Walker Kessler and John Collins were both on the floor together last year, and things can change, right? You don't have to always go by these numbers from one year to the next, but with both those guys on the floor last year, I just did off the floor, you have to be a little careful, right? Because we weren't actually positive as a team. So you have to be a little careful, but this was pretty extreme. When they were both on the floor together, we were minus 21 in 604 possessions. So let's assume that we're going to try to avoid having Walker Kessler and John Collins on the floor at the same time. And let's assume that we want Walker Kessler to make the jump from 23 minutes a night to 28 minutes a night. And let's assume, which might be a really big assumption, that we want Walker Kessler to be playing against top-tier guys in starting games. Might be wrong. How do we get John Collins enough minutes? Because if Walker Kessler's playing 28 minutes, that leaves 20 minutes a night for John Collins. And John Collins had a really good year last year and came together really well for this roster and did a lot of good things and is not like decrepit and is really pretty good at 15 points and 9 rebounds a game. And he got himself to those 15 points a game and 9 rebounds at the end of the year. And he shot 37% from 3 by the time we were done. And he started 66 games, and he started 71 the year before, and he played 28 minutes a night. So the easy answer is that John Collins bumps up and fills the gap for 8 minutes a night. But that means in those 8 minutes, we're playing Walker Kessler and John Collins together. And if that's truly a non-starter, then I don't know what we do. So this again gets the same theme about our minutes. We don't have 240 minutes on this roster. We have this gap, and I would argue it's kind of in the wrong place. And so what's going to be interesting is how the most interesting thing coming in as they start camp coming up here in a month is who fills the gap? We have enough minutes at guard. Those 96 minutes are crowded. In fact, somebody's not going to get enough. We have enough 48 minutes at center. In fact, somebody's not going to get enough. And then we have this massive gap of 35 minutes. Hopefully Cody Williams grabs 20 of them, but he's a rookie and he might not. For which to be filled. Frankly, 35 minutes of playing time going into training camp is a massive amount available. Massive. But not in a natural position for anyone. So we talked about it a moment ago that Collier could force his way in and then guys slide down, or Sensabaugh could force his way in and guys slide up. Well, John Collins could force his way in, and then I don't entirely know how it works. Or you just Walker Kessler plays 22 minutes a night again, 23, which honestly I would say is disappointing. Maybe John Collins goes from 28 minutes to 25, and John Collins is playing 25, and Walker's playing 23, and on a given night they're flipping and flopping, and that's going to be it. That's a big cut on John Collins. John Collins played 33 minutes 5 years ago, 31 minutes last 2 years ago, 30 minutes 3 years ago, 30 minutes 2 years ago, and 28 minutes last year. Maybe John Collins is down to 24 minutes. That's a lot for an NBA player to drop in 4 minutes. What we talked about Jordan Clarkson is a lot for an NBA player. So this can be fascinating. How do we find out about the 7? And the reality is, I think we can find out about 5 at a time. Keyonte we can find out about. I think Collier or Sensabaugh, if they play well enough, and that would be the first thing we're going to find out, can slide into somewhere. There's a gap. There's minutes there that can be filled. And so if they play well enough in camp, that's it. And if they don't play well enough in camp, we're finding out. We're going to find out about Hendricks. We're going to find out about Cody Williams. If he grabs it, it's wide open and available. And we're going to find out about Walker. So 5 of the 7, I think we can find out about in our minutes rotation this year. And then injuries will open the door for the others. Now, under this model, Patty Mills, Svi Mykhailiuk, Drew Eubanks aren't playing. Could be interesting. I'm sure they think they're playing. Patty maybe a little less than the others, but I'm certain they think they're playing. Eubanks thinks he's coming here to play minutes. And as we talked about yesterday, he's got some resume points that would tell you he really could help a lot of guys out and play really, really well. And maybe there's going to be an effort to find out if Eubanks and Collins can play together. And then Collins is sliding into that gap for 25 minutes a night as a power forward. We said this when we signed John. Like if you go back and listen to shows this year, a year ago with John, the question with John has always been the fact that he is really a 5 offensively and a 4 defensively. And it makes a little complicated. All right. It's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. And there's a lot of open minutes and there's a lot of open opportunities. And it's not clear who's competing against whom. So camp's going to be kind of awesome. That's what we have ahead of us. It is Locked On Jazz, your daily podcast in the Utah Jazz. Thanks for taking the time with us. For those of you on audio, check out any of the Big 12 fun things in the NFL previews. For those of you on video, we send you the first ever 24/7 national sports channel, Locked On Sports Today.